we'll go into the news as we always do. And first one that we have got on here, quite like this. It sort of warms the soul for me a little bit, given the illegality of Russia's 2-year incursion into Ukraine. Major Russian banks hit with DDoS attacks as Ukraine claims responsibility. Ugh, just joyous, isn't it? What do you think of this one, Emma?
This, along with the fact that they can't be in the Olympics, made me happy this week. So
They're still not allowed.
I think not. Yeah. So as they should be. This is egregious. This is bananas. And I really love the whole we did it. What about it? Right? Like to put in a hand up and just I'm not advocating hacking, but in this case, I'm not mad at it either.
Very very asymmetric conflicts. Let's make it asymmetric again. Russian state-owned bank VTB has been told the state news agency TASS that due to the attack planned from abroad, its clients experienced problems using the bank's online services. Good. Russian Agricultural Bank told Russian media that it was also hit by a DDoS attack. DDoS, for those not in the know, distributed denial of service, effectively throwing so much traffic at a computer that it just can't handle it. Yeah, imagine having octuplets and them all shouting at you at the same time.
No, that hurt my heart right now. I'm struggling with the one. There's 7 other ones. I'd walk into the woods. I'm done.
Russia's privately owned Gazprom Bank, third largest in the country, said its clients experienced some difficulties performing transactions in its app due to the attacks.
Which is its personal bank, isn't it? Isn't Gazprom just basically where he has all that shadow money? Yeah.
I don't know. There's lots of stuff to do with Gazprom and the oligarchs and all that sort of stuff, and wealth stolen from the people. But yeah, multiple banks hit. Ukraine claimed it, and I have no problem with that. No. So good on you, Ukraine.
Them. Exactly, good on them. Indeed.
What else have we got? Chinese espionage group upgrades malware arsenal to target all major OS. I like this because this really, it doesn't shut up all the people who on Friday and Saturday were saying, this wouldn't happen. This didn't happen to Apple and Linux, but it does invalidate their entire point that Apple and Linux are not invulnerable to malware. Prolific Chinese espionage group Daggerfly. I really love the names that they get given. CrowdStrike gives the Chinese groups the moniker Panda, so their name for them is Evasive Panda.
You were about to say Dragon something too, so let's just get all the tropes for the eastern part of the world, right? For like whatever you call them. What gets me, I don't know if you caught this, Robin. Looking at the story, they're even targeting African interests. Now, for me, that tickled my mind because big part of their Belt and Road Initiative has been...
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, right. So they've been out there, trying to flex the soft power and the monetary power, to kind of achieve that superpower status, right? They want to be the number 2, or at least, in a 3-way war with Russia and the good old U.S. But they give with one hand and they take with the other. That really just gave me a little head scratcher there.
Yeah. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense because it says here Daggerfly is a Chinese advanced persistent threat group, which typically means that they are state sponsored.
Of course.
So I don't really know why you'd start giving African nations a load of money, but then also saying, go and cyber attack them with what limited infrastructure that they have. Seems stupid.
Yep.
Anywho, Daggerfly have been conducting espionage operations both internationally and internally within China. So they even attack their own people, which is bizarre.
Yeah. And isn't that off the playbook of another major state-sponsored act that we just touched on? Right. Russia has pretty strict rules of engagement. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. Is that going to be allowed, or are they going to get reined in? Is Daggerfly going to disappear? Like what? I'm curious about this.
Yeah, another cybersecurity firm. Symantec has found evidence suggesting that a backdoor in the Mac OS was developed by Daggerfly. Google's initial analysis has highlighted that the backdoor has a range of functionalities designed for exfiltration, including device fingerprinting, executing commands, screen capture, key logging, audio capture. I mean, basically like a load of the stuff that you would want to use to spy on your adversaries in one way or another.
Got to get that intellectual property somehow, my friend.
Yeah, right. Exactly. The cautionary tale here is don't be so complacent if you're a Mac or Linux user, because the Chinese are developing stuff that you can get into your machines as well. It's all fun and games to laugh at Microsoft, but...
I saw that during our main story, right? We'll get into that there, but I couldn't believe that those old tropes were rearing their ugly heads. I'll leave it for the main there, but I'm firmly in agreement with you, Robin.
I know, it's ridiculous. There's one last bit here as well. Additionally, MACMA, which is the backdoor that they developed, and other known Daggerfly malware, including MGBot, all contain code from a single shared library or framework, elements of which have been used to build Windows, macOS, Linux, and Android threats.
They're getting modular, and it's the worst things that we... You want modular design in everything else except this stuff. Please, I don't want them to be efficient at creating new shenanigans. No.
Absolutely not. Yeah, don't like that. Give that a big thumbs down. Ransomware groups fragment amid rising cybercrime threats. This gets a thumbs up. I like that ransomware groups are fragmenting. Well, it's like double-edged sword. It means they're probably a little bit less effective, but it also probably does make them slightly harder to track, I would imagine.
Sure, and I think it's really in response to, there's been a concerted effort by international law enforcement on a combined stage, as well as the different pockets for local enforcement as well, to really go after the big groups. So I think this is a case of, if you start getting that limelight, if you start getting that spotlight, they'll come after you. There's no longer, we're going to try to stop all threats. We're going to go after the folks that are in the news to show how effective we are. To your point, though, the consolidation of the groups made them, I think, easier to possibly contain. But now you're going to see, I think, where you chopped off the one head, 3 heads jump up, maybe not nearly as formidable, but then, it's going to be hard tracking them. Yeah.
Yeah, there will no doubt be less coordination amongst fragmented groups like that. There's probably less in terms of, I would say, as far as the groups go, centralized mandates on how they conduct like their operational security, or OPSEC. In other words, how not to do dumb shit that gets you caught, which is effectively what OPSEC is. Don't leave fingerprints and footprints lying around.
Stop snitching on yourself, as Jay-Z would say.
Yeah. Stop snitching on yourself. But yeah, this comes from research conducted by Europol, and it's off the back of their many takedowns of dark web forums, marketplaces, places where illegal acts are sold and drugs are sold on the
that's
market.
The nicer stuff, and that's the nicer stuff you're mentioning, Robin. Thank you for not mentioning the other disgusting things there, which just unabashedly, like, as much as we might turn a gray eye towards what Ukraine is doing against Russia, everything involved in this part of the story, awful. A big no. That, please, keep busting them. Europol, Interpol, every pol. Just keep going after these types of folks. They're garbage human beings.
Interestingly enough, not actually in this story, but going towards that topic that we're not going to mention, but nearly there. The sextortion scams. I did read a separate piece earlier in the week that's somewhere in the region of 70,000 actors in the realms of sextortion scams, which are the pay me or I will release your alleged records of watching naughty things online, or release your nudes to all of your family and friends and contacts. That's a big, big business out of West Africa, and there's been a big concerted international effort to take down a bunch of those guys. Frankly, actually, I think I recall reading in that as well. Even the Nigerian government themselves are very much in the camp of, we really, really hate this. It's a really bad thing, and it properly gives the nation a really bad rep. So we want to stamp it out as well, not just the Western nations whose subjects are victims of it.
The classic trope, right? The Nigerian prince, like it's legendary for the type of scam. So of course, I'm assuming that the government would want to say we no longer want to be recognized for that, right? Like the same campaigns that went on for Colombia. Hey, we're not just where Pablo Escobar's from. There's tons of other stuff. So yeah.
It does seem, however, that the Nigerian prince has transformed into the Nigerian amateur porn king.
Listen, you gotta. There's not that much money in Princeton anymore, right? You gotta switch to pimping. So
there's only so many people that will believe that they're going to get $1 million payout for a $1,000 administrative fee.
Listen, would that it would be so.
Sent by Western Union to Abuja or Lagos.
I missed that when I was looking for investments. Wow, thankfully they contacted me. I never understood that.
Okay, final story before we get into the main feature. North Korean hackers targeted cybersecurity firm KnowBe4 with fake IT worker. I love this because I keep getting bombarded with emails by one of their senior guys, Stu Sewerman or something. I don't know how to pronounce it, but these emails just absolutely irritate me. But they've been caught hiring a remote IT worker who turned out to be a North Korean agent, and that this is a firm that does human risk and cyber awareness materials and services for some of the biggest organizations in the world, and they have a North Korean within their ranks, unbeknown to them. Outrageous.
Listen, where do we even begin here? I want to keep it brief, but I would have killed to be in the room where the marketing folks took the reins and said, we need to get out in front of this. So let's be the people that just blast this out on socials, because I think they did the best spin possible for the situation.
Even we can fall foul of it.
Exactly. And I've seen a lot of takes, and it's been more, I want to say probably 60 to 70% on my feed have been, hey, give them kudos. It can happen to anybody. Way to be this open and transparent. Way to turn it into a case study, et cetera, et cetera. The one weird, side tangent that I saw was, is this going to be something that people use to beat the return to office horse? That really, made me clutch my pearls in disdain. I don't know really what to make of this, right? I just have to sit back and go, hey, yeah, it can happen to anybody. Good grief. I know it's going to shade my opinion of the firm. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. It just will.
Yeah. To be fair, this was, it looks like it was pretty well executed by the North Koreans here.
Oh, they're pros. They have to get money somehow. They're cut off from the entire international banking system, so they got to get creative. And, having met a bunch of North Koreans in my life, that's a funny story we could get into down the road for a side podcast. Oh, yeah. Went to North Korea when I was 15 for 5 days. Having met a ton of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but having,
and didn't get botulism. Well done.
No, listen, I brought home sadness is what, that and bed bug bites, but very, single-minded, right? So they have to do this, and they're very good. Like you said before with Ukraine and that conflict, they figured out that, of course, it's an asymmetrical battle they're waging against almost every other country on the planet in their mind. So they have to get creative with it. They're really good at their cyber stuff. They figured it out. They got on the bandwagon early, and that they're not to be underestimated. So while yes, I'll look at KnowBe4 and go, oh, you're the guys that got by the DPRK. That's not as big of a clowning moment as you might think, right? Like, oh, what can the DPRK do on the cybers? A lot. They are pretty good.
And this is a good point. So they've gone, they've stolen a US identity to do this, and then they have used AI tools effectively to go through 4 video conference interviews.
That's
in order to get the job. It's actually nuts. It's genuinely,
and really
ironically, what has gone and caught the assailant here was the EDR software, the endpoint detection and response software, which is a nice little segue into our next bit. So that's gone and picked up on suspicious activities, and then as a result, they've gone, KnowBe4 security operations guys have gone rooting through the traffic and gone, hang on a minute, there's something not quite right here. So yeah, that's how they found that out.